Welcome back to another episode of the Motivational Intelligence Podcast. Today, we're going to dive deep on a concept that can really fundamentally transform how you lead your team. And that concept is motivational profiles. So this is relevant maybe if you've ever struggled to understand why do some employees excel while others, maybe with similar skills, seem kind of disengaged. Or maybe you want to be able to tap into the unique potential, the unique drivers of every individual on your team, but you're maybe not sure how. Motivational profiles are the key to that. So by the end of this episode, you're going to have a comprehensive understanding of what motivational profiles are, how to identify them, and most importantly, how to use this knowledge to tailor your leadership style to unlock really extraordinary results. So you're going to hear some real-life examples, some practical tips, some actionable exercises that you can apply right away. Again, this is the Motivational Intelligence Podcast, the ultimate resource for executives that want to build something extraordinary, both at work and at home. So every week we deliver award-winning executive coaching insights to help you think more strategically, lead more effectively, and live more inspired. I'm your host, Sean Johnson, and I'm really here to curate the lessons learned from our 34 years of experience as a global top 20 training firm. So we've worked with 40% of the Fortune 500 across 97 countries worldwide. And today, we're giving you more tools that are going to help you become a superhuman leader. If you listen to today's episode and you think, man, I'd really love to implement this with my team, I'd invite you to apply for a free coaching interview. We'll help you unlock the hidden potential in your team and enable you to connect with the true drivers of your people. So you can apply now and schedule your interview at joinmojo.com.
And the more I studied it, the more I began to see that that was the overwhelming commonality of the most successful people that I ever met.
And just the empowerment of the conversations, how it just really motivates you. You don't come across people that impact you that way.
Because a lot of people could say to me, oh yeah, no, I get it. But yet they really don't get it.
This, if you really lean into it, can be life-changing.
Mojos is part of our DNA and what we do during team meetings.
And I just looked at Randy like, oh my God.
I feel like that's made a lot of impact in my direct report's life because they're not afraid to talk to me.
But I started to see what this gentleman said in the podcast. And I was like, it was just kind of surreal because it was almost like he foreshadowed what I was going to be up against after.
They would come in every week and ask me, Paul, how far would you like to get? That's when I told them 105%. And they laughed and I said, no, 105% is where I'm going to be.
I think that concept is one that everybody can buy into and saying that I can improve 1% from yesterday.
An unstoppable state of mind that enables you and I to achieve everything that we want out of our professional and our personal life.
Now let's start with a question. Have you ever wondered why the same incentive program excites one team member, but leaves another one kind of indifferent? Or why some people thrive in highly competitive environments while others seem to kind of shut down? The answer lies in motivational profiles. So motivational profiles are really psychological and emotional frameworks that dictate what drives an individual's behavior, their decisions, and ultimately their performance. So they act like a personalized roadmap for understanding what makes each person tick. Now, when you know somebody's motivational profile, you can lead them in a way that feels deeply aligned with their values and their aspirations. So there are 7 motivational profiles that we're going to explore in today's episode. First is recognition-driven. So these people are motivated by acknowledgement and positive reinforcement. Second is fear of failure driven. So these people are kind of inspired by avoiding making mistakes and safeguarding their reputation. The third is goal or future reward driven. These people are energized by long-term rewards and ambitious goals. The fourth is self-development driven. So these people thrive on opportunities to grow skills and grow their knowledge. The fifth is competitive driven. So these people excel in situations involving measurable success and some sort of rivalry. The sixth is purpose-driven. So these people are fueled by a sense of meaning and contributing to a greater cause. And 7 is security-driven. So these people prefer stability, they want clear structure, they want minimal risk. So the key takeaway here is that no two people are necessarily motivated in the same way. And so identifying and understanding these profiles are going to allow you to lead more effectively by speaking to the heart of what drives each individual on your team. So now that we've defined motivational profiles, let's talk about their importance. So why should you as a leader invest the time and effort to understand them and tailor your leadership style accordingly? There's a couple main reasons. First is improved engagement. So when people feel understood and their motivators are addressed, they naturally become more engaged. They see their role as more than just a job. It becomes this space where they really feel valued. They feel connected. The second reason motivational profiles are important is increased performance. Right? So by aligning the tasks and incentives with individual motivators, what you're going to see is you're going to see your team perform at their peak. Right? You're going to bring out the best of each person on your team. So imagine you have an employee that thrives on recognition. When you're acknowledging that person publicly, it really lights a fire under them. And the same is true for all the other motivational profiles. The third reason that these are important is enhanced team culture. So when everyone feels their unique drivers are recognized, it really creates this culture of mutual respect and collaboration because everyone feels taken care of. People are more likely to support each other when their own needs are met. And the fourth reason this is important is reduced turnover. So motivated employees are much less likely to seek opportunities elsewhere because they feel connected to the organization, to the mission, and to you as a leader. Right? It's the old adage, people don't quit companies, they quit managers. I'll share a quick story with you. We had a client of ours that was really struggling with high turnover rate in their sales team. And after implementing motivational profiling, what they discovered is about half the team was recognition-driven, and the other team was more purpose-driven. Right? So once the company adjusted the incentives, they introduced public recognition to account for the former, and they tied sales goals to community impact and the mission of the company for the latter. They saw a dramatic improvement in retention and performance. So this has real-world implication and impact. So how do we put this into practice? Understanding motivational profiles is a great first step, but how do we actually apply this knowledge in a structured and impactful way? So here's a step-by-step process that you can use to help you identify, confirm, and use each employee's motivational profile to enhance engagement, enhance productivity, and enhance team morale. The first step is to observe team behavior. Observation is one of the most powerful tools for uncovering motivational profiles. By paying attention to how people behave in different situations, you can really gather valuable clues about what motivates them, what their drivers are. So here are some things to look for. Do they light up when their efforts are acknowledged, or are they more engaged in meetings where their ideas are praised? If so, they're probably recognition-driven. Are they overly cautious and reluctant to take risks? Do they focus on avoiding making mistakes or spend extra time double-checking their work? If so, they might be fear of failure driven. Do they frequently ask about their career progression, bonuses, or measurable milestones? If so, they might be goal or future reward driven. Are they the first to sign up for training programs or seek feedback from you as their leader? Do they ask for opportunities to learn new skills? If so, they might be self-development driven. Do they thrive in competitive environments like sales contests or friendly challenges? Do they seem to enjoy outperforming their peers? If so, they might be competitive driven. Do they express interest in the company's mission or how their work really makes a difference? Are they more motivated when their role connects to a greater cause? If so, they might be purpose driven. Or do they prefer clear routines and very structured tasks? Do they appear stressed when there's uncertainty or rapid change? If so, they might be security-driven. So imagine this. You have somebody on your team, Alex, that's a member of your sales team. And during a meeting, you notice that Alex becomes a lot more animated when discussing quarterly leaderboards and top performers. And he also seems to volunteer for competitive tasks, so Alex probably has a competitive-driven profile. So that's the first step in identifying a motivational profile, observational assessments. So you can probably think about people on your team right now and have an idea of maybe where some of them lie. Jot down these observations about each team member and look for patterns that align with the motivational profiles that we've discussed. Step 2 is to engage in one-on-one conversation. So observations are really helpful, but conversations can confirm and deepen your understanding. So schedule some one-on-one meetings or work these into your regular one-on-one meetings to really explore each employee's motivators. So a couple ways to start this conversation. You want to frame this positively. So you want to say something like, I'm focused on understanding what motivates everyone on the team so that I can support you better. And then ask open-ended questions based on their behaviors. So you can ask questions like, what's the most rewarding part of your work? Or when do you feel most energized and engaged? Are there specific projects or tasks or opportunities that excite you the most? Why those? So here's a couple of examples that are tailored to each of these profiles. If you're looking at somebody and want to know if they're recognition driven, you can ask them questions like, what's the most satisfying part of your workday? Or how do you like to receive feedback or acknowledgement for your efforts? If you're wondering if they're fear or failure driven, you could ask them questions like, what helps you feel most confident about tackling new challenges? Or are there certain areas where you feel you could use more clarity or support? If you want to know if they're goal or future reward driven, you might ask questions like, what goals are most important to you right now? Or how do you measure success in your role? Or how do you measure success in your career? For self-development driven employees, you might ask questions like, what skills are you most interested in developing? Or are there areas where you'd like to grow and learn more? If you want to know if they're competition driven, you could ask questions like, what motivates you to push yourself to achieve more? Or do you enjoy working in competitive environments? Why or why not? If you want to know if they're purpose driven, you can ask questions like, what aspects of your work feel most meaningful to you? Or how important is it to you that your work aligns with your personal values? If you want to know if they're security driven, you can ask questions like, what helps you feel most comfortable and productive at work? Or are there changes in the workplace that make you feel uncertain? So these are some questions you can ask directly to employees to get a feel for maybe where they fall and what kind of motivational profile they have. As you're having these conversations, document their answers and compare them back to the observations that you've made to confirm their motivational profile. Step 3 is to identify their motivational profile. So now that you've combined your observations and their responses, now you want to assign a motivational profile to each employee. Keep in mind that some people may fall into more than one category here, or they might have secondary motivational profiles. So for example, Priya on your team maybe loves learning new skills and consistently seeks feedback, so her primary motivational profile might be self-development driven. But she also appreciates structured workflows, and that indicates a secondary security-driven profile. So what you want to do is record both the primary and the secondary motivational profiles for each of your team members based on your observations and based on your conversations with them. And then you're going to use this as a reference for tailoring your leadership approach moving forward. So let's talk about that. Step 4 is to tailor your leadership approach. So now that you have each motivational profile identified, it's time to adjust your strategies to align with their motivators. So here's a couple ideas on how you can apply tailored strategies based on the 7 motivational profiles we've talked about today. If they're recognition driven, make sure you acknowledge their efforts in team meetings or in team emails, or maybe you want to nominate them for awards or contests. If they're fear failure driven, you might want to provide clear instructions and make sure you have regular check-ins, or offer them encouragement when they take risks or try new tasks. If they're goal or future reward driven, you want to set clear, measurable goals with clear milestones for them. And then you want to tie their performance to their long-term career advancement. If they're self-development driven, you might want to offer training opportunities, workshops, or mentorship. Or you might want to assign them tasks that involve learning new skills. If they're competition driven, you might want to introduce friendly contests or set up new leaderboards. You also want to celebrate their victories and challenge them to exceed their personal best. So it's not just about competing against other people on the team, it's about competing against their past performance. If they're purpose driven, make sure you connect their work to the company's mission or the company's impact, and assign them with meaningful projects that align with their values. And if they're security driven, you want to make sure you maintain structure and consistency in their workflow. So communicate openly about upcoming changes, and you want to minimize uncertainty as much as possible with these people. So for each employee, implement at least one tailored strategy and monitor their engagement and performance over the next couple of weeks. So this is step 5, measure the impact. So once you start applying these tailored strategies, now you want to start to assess their effectiveness. So look for changes in employees' behavior, their engagement, and their performance. So here's some things to look for. You want to look for, are they more enthusiastic during meetings or during completing their tasks? Has their productivity or their quality of work improved? Do they have greater willingness to collaborate or to take on new challenges? You also want to ask them for feedback. How do you feel about the new approach we've taken to recognize your contributions, as an example? Or has the additional training helped you feel more confident in your role? So for example, you have Alex on your team. Alex might be a competitive-driven sales executive, and Alex responded very positively to weekly leaderboards. So you see his sales increase by 15% after introducing the challenge. And when asked for feedback, Alex said, the leaderboard really makes me feel like I'm always striving for the top. I want to be at the top. It really keeps me motivated. That's how you know that's working for Alex. Now, step 6 is to refine and repeat. So motivational profiles aren't static. They can evolve as employees grow in the role and they face new challenges. So we're not all the same person now that we were 6 months or a year ago. So we want to continually look at what's motivating this person at this moment in time. Regularly revisit your observations and conversations to ensure that your strategies are staying aligned with what's really driving them at that moment in time. A couple ways to stay proactive. Schedule quarterly check-ins to discuss their motivations, discuss their goals for the upcoming quarter. And pay attention, stay alert to changes in their behavior or engagement that may indicate a shift in their profile. So if they were doing really well and all of a sudden they fall off a little bit, this is something to note. Easy thing you could do here, create a recurring calendar reminder to review and update your team's motivational profile every 3 months. So once a quarter, make sure you're looking at this again. Now, if you really take this to heart and you really implement these strategies, this is going to help you develop a workplace not only where every employee feels fully seen, they feel understood, they feel inspired, but it really brings out their best as an employee, as a professional, as a human being. And so by understanding and following these steps, you're not just building a motivated team, you're creating a culture of trust, of empowerment, of excellence. And you're helping these people to achieve things that maybe they didn't think were possible for themselves. So get started this week. Choose at least one employee whose engagement you want to improve. Use the steps outlined here to identify their motivational profile, implement a tailored strategy, observe the results and refine your approach as needed, and let us know how this goes. Because motivational profiles can truly transform how you lead individuals, how you lead teams. And they can help you connect with your people on an even deeper level so that, again, you can bring out their best, help them achieve things they didn't think were possible for themselves. That's really the mark of a great leader. Now, if you want help implementing these strategies, the ones we discussed in today's episode, again, I encourage you to apply for a free coaching interview at joinmojo.com. We'll help you identify and unlock the hidden potential in your team using motivational profiles. We'll help you really connect with what the true drivers of your people are. So apply now, schedule your interview at joinmojo.com. Motivational profiles aren't just a tool. They're a strategy to create a real thriving, high-performing team culture, a real success culture. By recognizing what drives each individual, you can lead with purpose and really achieve extraordinary results you wouldn't believe. Thanks for tuning into the Motivational Intelligence Podcast. Don't forget to share this episode and leave a review. Join us again next week for more actionable insights.
And the more I studied it, the more I began to see that that was the overwhelming commonality of the most successful people that I ever met.
And just the empowerment of the conversations, how it just really motivates you. You don't come across people that impact you that way.
Because a lot of people could say to me, oh yeah, no, I get it. But yet they really don't get it.
This, if you really lean into it, can be life-changing.
Mojos is part of our DNA and what we do during team meetings.
And I just looked at Randy like, oh my God.
I feel like that's made a lot of impact in my direct report's life because they're not afraid to talk to me.
But I started to see what this gentleman said in the podcast. And I was like, it was just kind of surreal because it was almost like he foreshadowed what I was going to be up against.
They would come in every week and ask me, Paul, how far would you like to get? That's when I told them 105%. And they laughed and I said, no, 105% is where I'm going to be.
I think that concept is one that everybody can buy into, and saying that I can improve 1% from yesterday.
An unstoppable state of mind that enables you and I to achieve everything that we want out of our professional and our personal life.